This so-called climate change ideology must be stopped in its tracks. Now, I spoke earlier about honest media that are covering this hurricane honestly as a news event. But then there are others who do not, and there's others who are not. They jump on the climate change agenda. This wouldn't be happening but for climate change. We hear this after there's a shooting, a mass shooting. Of course, we never hear about it. When people are just murdered every weekend, that's acceptable, apparently. Certainly not by us, but gun control. It's a gun control moment. Now this is a climate change moment because that's the nature of a corrupt media and a corrupt party. It's that simple. And we're facing a lot of that today, even before this hurricane hit the southwest coast of Florida. I want you to listen to The View. I don't know why people watch The View. You get dumber for watching it. The people who are on The View are miscreants, bigots, know-nothings. Among the biggest is Joy Behar, and she's on The View today. Hat tip newsbusters, and I want you to listen to this. In the middle of a natural disaster where people will lose their lives and other people will lose their livelihoods. Go ahead.
The Biden administration has approved our request for a pre-landfall declaration and did that very quickly. So we're thankful for that. And it's my sense that the administration, wants to help. I think they realize that this is a really significant storm, and there's a lot of people that we're working with the locals. We work very well with them, of course, at the state level. But we really need everyone working together to make sure people have their needs tended to.
Well, I mean, he's the president of the United States. That includes Florida. And you don't have to, you don't have to agree with him about stuff, but these are his people, your people, our people. That's what you're supposed to do. Yeah. This is what they did in New Jersey with Obama and Chris Christie, That's the job of the administration. That's what they're supposed to do.
Isn't it socialism when the government helps you?
All right, so let's hold on a second. Isn't it socialism when the government helps you? And this is what I mean. Listening to dimwits. This has nothing to do with socialism. Is it socialism when the police help you? Is it socialism when the firefighters help you? Is it socialism when an ambulance comes and gets you? There are core functions of the government. There's core taxation. You need roads. You need basics for society to function. Nobody's talking about anarchy. Socialism is when you steal something from somebody and give it to somebody else at the behest of the government, or the government steals it for you. This has nothing to do with socialism.
So they say, like Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid and things like that.
Got a comment.
Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid and things like that. We pay for that. We pay for that. And yet, Social Security doesn't have any money, and Medicare doesn't have any money because they've already stolen the money out of that. One Congress after another, one administration after another to pay for other stuff. So that's basically built on IOUs and printing money. Right, Sonny? What's her real name? I forgot. Yeah, we have to Google it. Maybe her name is Nikki Houston. I don't know. Go ahead.
Comment.
Yeah.
And the police, and socialism.
I don't know.
Yeah, okay. There you are, folks. Stupid is as stupid does. Asuncion Houston. This show, just to show you where we are. Elisa Farrah Griffin. She is a disgruntled former Trump employee, a grifter in my view, and another reprobate with a low IQ. But don't worry, when it comes to climate change, at least young Republicans understand this is the reason for facing such terrible, terrible weather. I'll be right back. Elisa Farrah Griffin is on The View. She was chosen because she's a very nasty person. I've never understood this, but if you worked for Donald Trump and you turn on Donald Trump and you do it in an extremely vicious, personal, and public way, you're likely to get a television show or some kind of a gig on television. But it shows a complete lack of character. You may have those feelings, but to turn it into money is, to me, quite sickening. We've seen it with other Republicans, even those who didn't work for Trump, like this, what is her name, Nicole Wallace, so many others. And of course, the media, being of the Democrat Party, they exploit these people. They exploit them. But they do great damage to the country. That includes this Elisa Fair-Griffin on The View today. She claims to speak for young Republicans. But she wouldn't even show her face at a young Republican event. She'd be booed off the stage. And it appears that they have to kowtow to the likes of a Joy Behar or a Goldberg, a Whoopi Goldberg, Karen, or others in order to cash a paycheck. You saw this happen to Joe Scarborough. That's an extreme example, but nonetheless a very good one. Cut 9, go.
Just think about the water. You know, Florida can't take a lot of the water that comes from here because they're low, they're down low.
Yeah.
So this is not politics. These are people's lives. You know, what did he think was going to happen?
I do think
He
it's
could
going
use
to be
some of that money that he used to get those migrants to Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah, that was about $12 million. Yeah, I
Maybe
will
he
say,
could use it
yeah, he
now.
could have used that money. I think that this is going to be a test for him. I think presidents rise to the occasion, or future presidents, politicians rise to the occasions. We saw Chris Christie rise to the occasion when he was with President Obama. What we saw during Hurricane Maria was that President Trump was not up to the task. The original death count in Puerto Rico was 64. It was raised to 3,000. He went over, and I was in Puerto Rico reporting for Hurricane Maria. Everybody remembers the infamous throwing of the toilet paper, paper towels, and
All right, let's stop here. Let's stop here. You know, there are times in our history, in world history, folks, where people are so ideologically, almost religiously connected to an ideology, there's no getting to them. This is a massive hurricane. It's the only one so far that's hit Florida this year, but there haven't been any for 4 or 5 years. Do we say every 4 or 5 years, see that? That proves there's not climate change, or there is climate change. We're talking about science. Science. This is so ridiculous. And so unless you embrace the ideology of the hard left, you come under ridicule. Now, Jamie Rome is the National Hurricane Center director. I suppose he knows something about hurricanes. Otherwise, how do you get that job? And he was on CNN yesterday, and he was asked by Don Lemon about the hurricane and climate change. Cut 10, go.
Can you tell us what this is and what effect climate change has on this phenomenon?
Well, we can come back and talk about climate change at a later time. I want to focus on the here and now.
So listen, I'm just trying to get that. You said you want to talk about climate change, but what effect does climate change have on this phenomenon that is happening now? Because it seems these storms are intensifying. That's the question here.
I don't think you can link climate change to any one event. Okay. On the whole, on the cumulative, climate change may be making storms worse, but to link it to any one event, I would caution against that.
Okay.
Oh, he would caution against it. So, you know, he has to sort of daven to the climate change kings and queens, to the narrative. But he also says, look, you can't tie one to the other. One event. And that's why the nitwittery on The View. I mean, can't ABC News do a better job, or ABC Network? Can't you find 5 women with a collective IQ of over 7? Is it really that hard? And then, of course, CNN's chief climate correspondent. I don't know what a climate correspondent is. They write about the weather every day? Go.
I'm just in front of the memorial for Hurricane Charlie, which in 2004 devastated this town and sent a wake-up call to this community about the threats of living on the coast in a rapidly warming planet.
But the planet is not rapidly warming. The planet is not rapidly warming. In fact, in the last 15 years, it's been level or slightly cooling. So this is like no thought to the people who have to survive this thing, who tonight are sitting and living in the dark, others who are going to have just massive property damage, whose lives are a disaster. all the people who are getting ready to go down there and help, there's not one person at The View who's going to lift a finger. None of them. And yet, they're telling you this is due to climate change. Even the director of the director of the Hurricane Center, National Hurricane Center, Jamie Rome, says you can't tie one event like this to that. He may be out of a job by tomorrow, I think. Who knows? I'm not going to discuss this bizarre, perverse mentality anymore as it applies to hurricanes and this one. Now, I will be attacked for this because, you see, I'm pushing back. I don't conform to the people who pray to idols. I don't conform, and I won't conform. I happen to have a home in Florida. My brother lives in Florida. My niece lives in Florida. I have a lot of friends who live in Florida. This is a very important matter, and many of you do too. And many of you listening live in Florida as I speak. So I will need to push back. We'll be right back.